Welcome, loves. Kathy here. Thanks for stopping by my channel. It is a pleasure to have you. I'm not a biggest fan of small talk. I'm an introvert. It's a hassle for me, yet a necessary evil I endure. So I'll keep it to a brief minimum and jump right into it. But before you do, if you're liking what you hear so far, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. The following video is meant to enlighten, encourage, inspire, and educate, and enjoy. The topics mentioned in this video are based on my faith and spiritual journey. It is not meant to replace your spiritual practices or matters concerning your mental health or emotional health. Everybody is welcome here. Glean from what is helpful and leave the rest. So as I was saying before, why are dreams so important, especially to those who've been gifted with spiritual insight? Well, it's another way of, God talking to you. Throughout our journey, we go through trials and challenges and triumphs that ultimately teach us very profound lessons that we can absolutely be transformed with. Now, some of us will get these lessons right away, but there are some of us, unfortunately, that need a little bit more help. Like myself, unfortunately, because we're a bit stubborn. So it takes us many times to go through a lesson over and over again. If that doesn't help to get our attention, God gets our attention through our dreams. You see, our dreams unlock what is deeply embedded in our subconscious. There's even science to support this. See Freud and Jung for details. Jesus said that he had come to give us life, and life more abundant. But if we fail to understand the lessons we have been given in our waking hours, this may delay us and deter us from receiving that abundant life that He fought and won for us. So, He will get our attention through vivid and sometimes bizarre dreams. Think of Moses and the burning bush. Imagine you're walking in the desert and you see a burning bush with the fire isolated. You would think to yourself, how in the world is this even happening? This is defying all kinds of sciences right now and physics. Am I okay, or am I hallucinating? When we don't see the lessons in our waking hours, and these issues are so deep in our subconscious that we can't even tell that it's an issue, they impede our growth and keep us from that abundant life. I call these incidents our blind spots. God brings these blind spots to the surface in our dreams. He works on His timetable, and He doesn't want us to miss out on what He has in store for us. So He will wake us up from our spiritual slumber using vivid imagery and symbols in a dream. Well, why recurring dreams then? Well, it goes back to my original statement of a person being too stubborn for their own good. Not to mention the blind spots. If we fail to pay attention in the natural realm, God will send us reoccurring dreams until we see our blind spot. That's why it's so important to journal your dreams. Journaling can lead you into interpretation. Understanding the meaning can open your eyes to the blind spots. So you can surrender that to God in prayer and allow Him to heal you in that area. For example, I had a lot of vivid dreams, and they happened so frequently it was hard for me to ignore. So one day I was prompted by the Spirit to buy a journal and start recording my dreams. I noticed I was having a lot of dreams about my ex-husband. Now God knows that I have absolutely no desire to be with my ex-husband. And I'm also certain that the feeling is mutual towards me. However, in the dream, I felt forced to be with him with no other option. Consequently, in my waking hours, I was talking to men in my DMs that I had no business entertaining. Some of them were nice, yet we weren't compatible. Many came with an agenda to use and abuse me in some way or fashion. Some were married, while others wanted to solicit photos of me. Some even wanted money. while some others wanted an ego boost. And hey, let's keep it $100. Some even wanted to sex, or worse, all the above. And because of my unhealed people-pleasing and eagerness to be polite, I was still entertaining men that weren't in any stretch of the imagination right for me. I started to feel trapped, like these were my only options. While God was trying to show me to get my attention to stop doing this and allow Him to heal something deep inside of me that was causing me to people please. The more I continued to entertain these types of men, the more the reoccurring dreams about my exes that I had. You see, having a dream about my ex-husband didn't actually mean I was doomed to be tied to my ex-husband. My ex was a symbol for all the relationships I was settling for, even though I knew good and well they weren't right for me. God oftentimes uses people, places, or things we are familiar with as symbols to unlock the messages He's trying to get us to pay attention to. Another example, I kept having reoccurring dreams about helping my mom or my grandma out with their houses or helping them move in. I would be so focused on helping them out that I didn't realize I had a whole place I was neglecting until it was almost time for me to lose it. One particular dream, I was helping my grandma move somewhere, and I was so invested in helping her out. When I finally remembered I had a place of my own, it was almost too late, and I was on the verge of losing it. You see, when I was growing up, my mom rented a lovely apartment in this building called the Quell Points. I always wanted an apartment like that. And in the dream, I had that apartment, and it was fully stocked with everything I ever needed. It even had the 3 dogs I shared with my ex-fiance, Marley, Princess, and Bodhi. Unfortunately, when I discovered the unit, everything was in disarray. The dogs were being neglected. It was several months behind on rent, and I was on the verge of being evicted. This dream had multi-layer meanings. You see, God calls us as His children to prioritize Him first. And then, as a result, He'll put everything else in order for us. And in the dream, that was the message He was trying to convey to me. You see, I was so fixated on trying to make things happen for me and my daughter financially that I neglected everything God had called me to do. You know, a while back, God put a specific dream in my heart to fulfill, and it had something greatly to do with His kingdom. But I was so inundated with all the tasks I had to do for work. Not only was it affecting my mental health, my physical health, but it was always interfering with my spiritual health as well. And so, instead of pouring into my own dream that God had given me, I was pouring into somebody else's dream and allowing the gifts and the talents He endued me with to fulfill the task He had before me to languish and go to waste. And plus, not only that, the window of opportunity I had to do these tasks or fulfill these tasks was slowly but surely closing. So not only does God use our dreams to point out any blind spots that we may be having that impede our growth, but He also uses dreams to warn us and redirect us and recalibrate us and get us to focus on things that are most important in our lives. Fortunately, those aren't the only reason why He gives us dreams. He also gives us these dreams as a way to give us comfort and also to guide us. The time has come where I probably should close out this video. But before I go, I like to give an example of dreams in which God used to comfort me, and not only comfort me, but to guide me. You see, this isn't my first YouTube channel. A while back, when I was in a relationship with my ex-fiance, I went through the most traumatic experience I can imagine, and I like to say it's my Jonah experience, because I was actively running from God, running from the call on my life to be His child. I just thought the task was way too daunting for me, and I resolved not to be a Christian anymore. I felt that my life was just so hypocritical that I couldn't call myself that, because I wasn't worthy of that name. Besides, the world has enough hypocrites in it. It didn't need one more. Fortunately, God didn't let me get away with that reasoning, and He called me back to Him. And for the first time, I was truly home. But I wasn't just home going through the motions. I was going to experience Him in a reality like I've never experienced Him before. Part of my experiencing coming back to Him and really taking me being His child seriously. Forgive me, that's my daughter talking in the background. Anyways, it was my desire and focus to take my walk with Him, with God, seriously. And one of the things I decided to do was give up my channel. It wasn't a big channel, but it garnered a little attention, and I was proud of the work I did with it. But I decided it all needed to go, and I needed a fresh start. It's quite a while before I thought about making another channel, but I always put it in the back of my head as not a #1 priority. But it still lingered for me to do so. And the call to make another channel start really pressing on me. You know, God was like urging me to make a channel, and I was just putting it on the back burner, procrastinating with it. I would come up with ideas and get excited about it, but then I wouldn't know where to do, and I didn't know where to begin. It really led to me to procrastinating on whether I should make it or not, or how I should go about starting my channel again. So much so that I would put it off for months and months and months, even though it lingered in the back of my head. I did nothing to resolve it. So the night before, when I finally made the decision to take things seriously and actually sit down and make a video, I had a dream, and it was pretty interesting what God had showed me. You see, the dreams I had before all pertain to what was happening in the natural realm, but God was going to show me a snapshot of what was happening in the spiritual realm, using my earthly examples and His Word. That night, I was having a dream about being in my grandmother's home in Rialto behind my high school. Now, to me, that home symbolized my childhood, and it was always home in my heart, no matter where I moved to. And God knew this, and He used this example of my home to show me things that were happening in the spiritual realm that were causing me to be at a standstill on my decision to make my videos, as well as giving me a starting point to figure out where I need to surrender to Him so I can move forward. And it was such a beautiful callback to His Word. And the scripture that came to my mind was the scripture in John chapter 14, verse 2. In my Father's house there are many mansions. I go to prepare a place for you. Of course, I'm paraphrasing that. And for reference, I can leave any scriptures I've used in this video down below in the description. Since my grandmother's no longer with me physically, but she's still with me in spirit, I began to realize God was talking about things that are happening in the spiritual realm. I was in my old room, which was my aunt's room before me, and I had a closet full of clothes, yet I didn't know what to wear. Everything I wanted to wear seemed too old and matronly for me to wear. But I was preparing for my trip to a beach. And if anybody knows me, the beach is like one of my favorite places to visit. And so, even though I had what I call old and matronly clothes, I put the clothes on because I really wanted to go to the beach. One scripture came to my mind, which is the scripture in Revelations chapter 3, where it talks about the 7 churches, and some churches had fallen away from its divine purpose, their first love, which is Christ. Anyways, Jesus was cautioning one church to put on the clothes because they were walking around naked. And that just occurred to me that the clothes in the closet wasn't just clothes. It is all that I stored up, the wisdom and knowledge and the lessons I've learned in life, 47 years worth of it, in my closet, in my dwelling place, in heaven. Another scripture that came to my mind when I was examining the reason why there was clothes in my closet that I was afraid to wear was the scripture of store up your treasures in heaven. So where your treasure is, there your heart is too. If anybody knows me, I love going clothes shopping, so much so that I'm afraid I have a problem now. With that, God was showing me that I stored up so much treasures in heaven in my closet that I could readily use to make these videos, that I didn't have to worry about it. Imagine having 47 years worth of knowledge at your disposal and you're afraid to share it with people. Isn't that ridiculous? But that's where I was when I came to a standstill about my videos. So when I woke up and I was able to interpret the meanings behind the dreams I had, I finally had my answer that I wanted to begin talking about in these videos, which is dreams. You see, God not only gave me repetitive dreams to see my blind spots, but also He guided me and comforted me with His Word. He showed me that there is nothing for me to be afraid with. You know, He fully equipped me to do what I'm doing right now. And all I had to do is make the choice to do it. Now I finally see why it's so important for a person that has spiritual giftings concerning insight in the spiritual realm, like a seer, or a revelator, or a dreamer, or a prophet, or what people call a psychic. It's so important that we journal and pay attention to our dreams, especially if we're having vivid ones over and over again. It's God talking to us, trying to get our attention, trying to warn us before things go awry, trying to redirect us if we're going off track, trying to guide us if we need guidance and understanding and questions answered, and trying to comfort us with His Word, showing us that there's nothing to fear, that He's with us in every decision and every step we need to take in our lives. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and conclude the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and got some value out of it. Well guys, thank you so much for tuning in to my video. This has been truly a labor of love, and I don't find that or say that about many things that I do, but I mean that with all sincerity. This was truly a labor of love. So I'm going to turn things over to you now, guys. Do you guys have any experience where God was trying to speak to you in a dream? Please share in the comments section. I would love to hear your stories and your testimonies. That's it, guys, for sure this time. Take care. I love you guys. God's blessings to you. Bye.